Hi, I'm Jeannie Kelly, your credit coach, and thank you for joining Credit Over Coffee. I wanted to talk today with you about some credit myths. And the reason I think this is a great topic to talk about these myths because a lot of times there's information out there that either is wrong or that you just didn't know, but you think because some of these things make sense, right? So I'll go over things and you'll say, oh, yeah, I think that's right. And it's a myth. So let's dive into some of these. And again, please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. I love sharing credit information. And the only way I can share it more often and with more folks is if you help me out. So I appreciate it. And always send in your credit questions. You can find me on Instagram at Credit Jeannie. And please ask me the credit questions because when I get asked these credit questions, this is how I know information that you're tuning in. So you're already here with me. This is information you want to know about. So I love the questions pouring in and I thank you. And so these are recent I always talk about this. I'm a bottom line gal out of New York, and I try to talk about in the moment of what's going on in my life or what's going on with the credit world and things that are happening now. Because we can talk about things in the credit world that might have happened 20 years ago, but does it matter now if those things have changed? And sometimes that's the problem when it comes to credit, because we might be listening to someone who's mentoring us who might be older. Let's say it's our parents trying to tell us about what they did when it came to credit, but that information could have changed over this time, right? So that's why I love talking about these credit myths, because when the questions come in and these are things that the office keeps calling and asking about, and then I'm realizing people are still learning this information and it's out there. So let's definitely talk about it today. And one of the ones, and I think it's because this week I'm doing a lot of talks regarding credit and divorce. Unfortunately, a lot of people and are going through a divorce process, and I'm speaking on this topic a lot this week. So one myth that I want to debunk right now is regarding the divorce decree. So here's the credit myth. The divorce decree protects me regarding those accounts on my credit report and with the creditors. No, no, it doesn't. It is something that, yes, you can talk. If the person doesn't pay what they're supposed to, then you can obviously deal with your attorneys again and go back to court. And I know the judge signed off on what this person should pay and that person should pay, but the creditor didn't agree to that. The creditor agreed with what you put on your application, whether it's for a mortgage, a credit card, a loan, whatever it may be. So if you signed and you're on that account, even if you're not supposed to pay it, you're supposed to pay it to the creditor. So if that person who, let's say during the divorce and your ex is supposed to pay one of these bills, right? And there's still a balance on it. If they're paying it late, it will be reported late on your credit report because you're still attached to that account. Unless you remove yourself from that account. So if it's a mortgage, if your name is no longer on that mortgage, then of course it wouldn't be on there. But if you're still on the mortgage, then that divorce decree means something that you can go back, and that's an agreement you had regarding your divorce, but the creditor did not agree to that. So it doesn't matter when you get a loan, whether it's a mortgage or a credit card, whatever type of loan, when you're on the application, if you're on with someone else, it doesn't matter if that's a business partner, a spouse, a friend, it doesn't matter. You are jointly on an account. And until that account is paid off, you are responsible for that account. So I just want to make sure you're aware. I'm not saying that it can't be paid and things like that, because the divorce decree said that, but that means you have to go back to dealing with your attorney. And I'm not an attorney. I have really great friends who are fabulous divorce attorneys. So deal with that. But as far as your credit goes, it does not help your credit. It doesn't help you with your creditor or the credit reporting agencies. Those accounts can stay and stay how they're being paid. If they're being paid late, if there's a high balance, whatever it may be. It's so that is something that is asked about all the time. So very important if you are going through the divorce process, you want to make sure if certain items, if you're not supposed to, if your ex is supposed to pay something, you want your name taken off that. So if it's a credit card, you want that your name taken off or it paid. So this way it, and then you close that account so that the account balance can't go back up if it's a credit card, right? So I dive so much more into divorcing credit, but I just wanted to make sure the most important part regarding this is the divorce decree and your creditors and credit reports, that will have no impact. You are still financially responsible for those accounts with your creditors and with the credit reporting history of those accounts. Let's get to another one. Another one is about I only have one credit score. I have a credit score. This is my credit score. And those are, and what I'm trying to say here is that I get phone calls all the time that you think that there's only one score out there when it comes to credit reporting, and there are so many. So no, there's not just one score. There's hundreds of credit scores out there. There's some popular ones. 90% of lenders use the FICO scoring model, and also there's Vantage credit scoring. So those are two major players. So, and then there's so many more, right? And so, and no two scores are the same. Like their model can be totally different. You don't know what makes up those scores. And if the score starts the same and ends the same, meaning, all of these hundreds of scores out there, what are they made up of? So no, there's not just one type of credit score. So a lot of times I will hear things. I thought my credit score was, let's say, a 700. But then when I went to the bank, it was only a 640, and I'm in shock. Well, what score were you looking at? Because it might not have been a lending score. And there's so many scores out there. So just so you know, you have to pay attention to the correct scoring model for what you are applying for. And like I said, 90% of lenders do use FICO. So if you're using FICO, there's still not just one FICO score either. There's many types depending on what you're applying for. So just know that. Another, and this is a tricky one when it comes to a credit myth, because information has changed regarding this type of collection. Medical collections are no longer on my credit report. That's a myth. I wanted to say that quickly. That's a credit myth. Medical collections can be on your credit report if they are over $500 and if they waited the amount of time that they have to put it on your credit report. So they are allowed to be on your credit report. So a lot of times I've been hearing recently, because there have been changes with medical debt, and a lot of medical debt in 2023 have been removed from credit reports because a lot of them were small balances like co-pays and things. So Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax in April 2023, they decided to remove any medical debt under $500. So that took up that was a lot of the medical collections on your credit report. But that does not mean that if you have something that is $500 or above, that can't be on your credit report. It can. So I've been hearing a lot, oh, no more medical collections on reports. That's not true. If there is an outstanding balance, it can be on your credit report. And I dive deep with my credit programs of what to do and how to work these things. So there are things you can do when it comes to medical debt, but know that if it is over $500, it can be on your credit report. Here's this one. This is one I hear all the time. Well, I have bad credit because, Once you have bad credit, you always have bad credit. That's a credit myth. Of course not. So, but what can happen, and I think this is what does happen, a lot of times people, let's say, have a financial hiccup. And let's say things did go bad regarding their credit. And so their score might have dropped big time. The reason sometimes it stays low like that is one, the person may walk away from credit and decide not to use credit anymore. So if you walk away from credit and, time does go by fast. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it does. And let's say it's years that you haven't been using credit. Well, now you haven't been adding new healthy credit. So everything on your credit report may still be negative because that's all there is. So I've seen that happen. I've seen that they've walked away from credit even after items can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years, right? Sometimes people really, it's been over 7 years. They have literally told me that they haven't looked at their credit report. They know it was bad. And then when I say, go look, you can get a free copy at annualcreditreport.com. And they go and they're like, none of the bad stuff is on, there's nothing on here, or I have nothing reporting. And so I think a lot of times the reason that a lot of us think that, well, once bad credit, always bad credit, is because the fear of working on your credit again, right? And rebuilding it and dealing with those items that have been on there. So time heals all wounds, and it can with your credit report. We can see how fast, if you have a recent late payment, it can drop your score dramatically. If you're maxed out on credit cards all of a sudden, it can drop your score. But if times, you got to still focus on your credit. Even if okay, I'm having some financial struggles and a couple of months, there's financial struggles, but then you have to start the first thing, start paying on time, lower those balances. And if all credit cards and things have been closed, you need to put new credit on, apply for a secure credit card. There's so much you can do. But again, that's something that I think people, I know they haven't slept at night worrying about their credit after years of, rebuilding, and they've been financially stable again in their bank accounts because they started using, just cash, and they put together budgets, and all of that is fabulous. But they walked away from their credit because they just thought, well, it's something, I'm never going to be able to have that again. And you can. And part of the thing is really learning. And that's why I have my credit classes in the credit community, because I don't want to say we've all been there, right? Because that's not true. Like some people really have always been blessed with having fabulous credit and no financial hiccups. But, that wasn't the case for me. My story. That's how I got in the credit industry, having financial struggles of my own during a divorce and having to rebuild. But the great thing of being with a circle of others working on the same goal, and inside the community, what I love about my programs are, there's so many people. There's people that are rebuilding their credit. There's people who have really fabulous credit and want to maintain it and want to just be in the know, just in case something new happens. They want to know about it. There's someone that could be wanting to purchase a home and just want to make sure they have the best credit they possibly can during this time. Just so many different scenarios. So just always know that I think we're always going to be using credit. So if we've had some financial hiccups, it's okay. You can always restart. And it may take time. It may take time to rebuild, but at least start rebuilding, because you don't want to think about it and then 3 months go by and think about it again and 3 months go by, because that could have been time that you could have already had one new account or start lowering balances. So definitely don't think because you've had bad credit, that means you have to stay there forever. And so these are the popular credit myths that I've been noticing. There's a ton more, but I don't want to, go on and on. I'll bring some back to you next month. But thank you so much for joining. Please, again, Go to Instagram, Credit Jeannie, follow me, ask me some credit questions, let me know what you think about the podcast, and have a great summer day. Take it easy.